Assalamualaikum and very good evening. Today our group is going to discuss about the assignment 3B, which is about Chernobyl disaster. Okay, our representative we got Muhammad Fernanda bin Saiful, Ahmad Fahidi bin Ahmad Fadil, Akmal Hakim bin Azizi, Aiman Ashri bin Arifuddin, and Muhammad Harith bin Muhammad Shukri. Next. Okay, over the exclusive zone, thousands of people had to move. Engineers were found to be responsible for the accident because they made a mistake when designing the nuclear reactor. They broke the codes of ethics, especially the morality of engineering profession, which hurt society. Not only scientists but also general public talk about problems with technologically risks. The way safety problems with nuclear reactor are talked about is changed. Scientists, engineers, design and operators along with politics all had to take responsibility. No social, economic, technical or scientific interest can justify hurting people or the environment. It was said Harris, Richard, Robbins, James, and Eglahart 2013. As humanity technical and technological abilities grow, it creates a whole new ethical situation. This requires not only an evaluation of how technique are used, but also the ability to predict disaster and stop or at least lessen the effect. The accident at Chernobyl showed that developing nuclear power technology does not make people live safer. Several rules about how to run reactor facilities were broken, which led the accident. Several experiments were done on the four power unit at night while it was shut down for scheduled maintenance. This experiment looked at how turbo generators work. Workers didn't keep an eye on things well enough and didn't take all the necessary safety or steps. Overall, it was because an engineer made a mistake when designing the reactor. It goes without saying that you can know what will happen when you use nuclear energy, like what happened at Chernobyl. Still, engineers should try to do with new project by doing the right research and listening to what the opposite has to say. Okay, next, representative.
Okay, for slide 3. In my opinion, for environmental, we have to continue and long-term monitoring of particular forest products, such as mushroom and berries, should be carried out in those regions in which forests have been significantly contained and where people consume wild food. This region includes those in which there is a significant population of wild food consumer. The result of such monitoring are being used by the competent authorities in the nation that are being affected to provide guidance to the general public regarding the continued use of forests for recreational activities and the collecting of wild food.
So, in addition to the general monitoring of forest product that is required for radiation protection, more in-depth, scientifically based long-term monitoring of specific forest sites is required. This is necessary in order to provide an ongoing and improved understanding of the mechanism, long-term dynamics, and persistence of radiocaesium contamination and its variability. It will be beneficial to conduct additional research on the critical creatures, such as fungus, to be better understanding their part in the movement of radiocaesium and its long-term behavior in a forest ecosystem. Programs are currently being carried out in the countries that have been hit the hardest, such as the Russian Federation and Belarus, and it is essential that this program be maintained well into the foreseeable future if the current level of uncertainty regarding long-term forecasts are be reduced.
The organization view about the Chernobyl incident is the real difference between the radiation exposures that come from natural background sources and those that come from the Chernobyl accident is that the exposures from Chernobyl will end in a relatively short time, whereas the exposures that come from background sources will continue forever and are a natural component of man's and natural environment. The Chernobyl type design is not utilized anywhere else than the Soviet Union, and it is not possible to get a license to use it in the United States or in any of the other industrial nations in the West or in the Far East. The accident that occurred at Chernobyl was one of the kind and on a scale all its own. It was the one and only occasion that people have been killed by commercial nuclear energy in the whole history of the industry. At first, the Soviet authorities dealt with the accident in much the same way as they had in the past, privately in seclusion and hidden from the view of international community. As a result of the socio-political shifts that have taken place in the Soviet Union in the aftermath of the accident, Soviet scientists and politicians were able to use the good offices of the International Atomic Energy Agency to convene a meeting with the international community of professionals and propose that they all collaborate on the problem. As a result, the International Chernobyl Project came into existence. In my opinion, the most significant advantage and achievement of the ICP has been the establishment of an honest and open international collaboration among the countries that were adversaries during the Cold War.
Uh, Furthermore, planning for the situation was poorly executed. A few factors can be concluded if looked properly into the tragedy of Chernobyl. First was lack of knowledge in handling the aftermath of the explosion. No standard operation procedure or SOP was met by the International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA, Nuclear Safety Advisor Group INSAG for Level 7 nuclear disaster until the event of Chernobyl happened. Clearly, the event of Chernobyl reformed how the world handle radioactive material in the future. Late notice to evacuate citizens and clear the surrounding took its toll when 57 people died and many more were infected with radiation poisoning. Next, the failure of planning is caused by the ignorance of the Soviet Union to prioritize safety over fame. The Soviet will do anything to defeat the United States in every category of modern human achievement, especially in nuclear use of energy during the Cold War. So lastly, talking about manager-employee behavior, in an industry that called a big company, it should have an organized organization to work well. Without the organization, it could not work properly because everyone think they have the right way or correct to do something work. Same goes to the accident Chernobyl. The manager in the factory act lazy because it does not constantly check their underling do the works. Next, the manager of or CEO in the company easily choose the worker or engineer that could work for them, even though they know the level of education of their workers. Without enough experience and education, the engineer must not easily to work. But if the manager, engineer or leader must have to carefully guide new engineer with education to gain experience. That's all for the assignment 3B. Thank you.